Disclaimer, the following video is my very own opinion, and if you disagree with me, I'm okay with you. However, here's one thing I want to add. This video is basically a part 2 to one video I've done back in summer. If you haven't watched part 1, I'll leave you a link to the description to part 1. This is basically going to be part 2. And now, this video is basically going to be me responding to Kuro, part 2. Now look, I have nothing against Kuro. I have nothing against him as a person. I think he's a very, very good person that just wants to not be bothered, but however, what I'm doing is this. So this is basically going to be my response to his... Yeah, there we go. This is going to be like my response to his video on Ben 10 vs. Green Lantern. So if you disagree with me, fine. But however, this is going to be the second part because I'm mostly going to do part 3 after this. So without further ado, let's explain. Hey guys, Josie9Chiba here. Now today, okay, I haven't even thought about this, but I'm going to say it. Sorry for why this video took so long. The reason why this video took me so long to make is because... I'll tell you one reason. The reason why it took me this long to make it is because I've been, like, very busy around my schedules because it felt like I wasn't able to get time to, like, record or do this video. However, I was spending so much time researching while school was going on, so that's why it took so long, because of school. So that's my only excuse why this video took so long, because of school and the fact that I didn't feel like doing it. But however, I felt like I wanted to do a part 2, so here's what I did. So I watched most of this video, and apparently we're going to respond to it. So, I have nothing against Kuro, as I said, but however, there's some things I want to say. One, there's going to be no gameplay again, because, as I said, I don't think I'll add it, because I have nothing to say. Because I'm just, saving it for the next video. So, without further ado, I have this picture of the Shiba Inu I want to show you guys. So, without further ado, let's get started on this video. Also, here's one thing before I get down. Pay close attention to me while I'm doing this. The reason why you should basically pay close attention to me is because, well, there are some points you're basically going to miss. And, however, there's some of the points I left out in the other video, in which I forgot, which I'm going to add it in here. So, without further ado, I'm going to get onto it. So, pay close attention if you're going to hear my counter-arguments against Kuro's. So, without further ado, let's begin.
Green Lantern's light! My problem with Death Battle is their whole premise is built on these animations that apparently shouldn't even be taken literally. But in the actual episodes of Death Battle, aka the only videos of theirs that the majority of people watch, that is never stated once. There is nothing to notify the audience that these battles are just for entertainment and shouldn't be taken literally. You have to go to their additional content for that information, which is completely unfair to the average viewer. You have to go to their additional content for that information, which is completely unfair to the average viewer. Either they need to make this clear, or their battles need to make sense.
Okay, so right there, I actually agree with you. They should basically say that the animation should be only for entertainment. Now, the reason why they should only say that the animation should be entertainment is because so that basically some of these fanboys that come from salty fan bases are basically gonna come out and say, like, why did my character lose? He's stronger than your character! He should have used that ability! He should have won! Like that. But, however, basically, they should basically add a warning in the beginning of the episode, say, oh, the animation's just for entertainment. So, yes. That should basically be like that. And, not to mention, basically, they should basically have this be like how I did. Whenever someone's, like, doing a debunk, they should basically just not analyze the animation, instead focus on, like, the research, then the animation, and go on to, like, the analysis. Because whenever I do a debunk video, I start off by trying to debunk some of the false claims they always had. Like, for example, in Nightwing vs. Daredevil, I debunked some of their claims, saying that Nightwing would basically have the advantage over Daredevil, which sometimes they will basically say something like that, but however, they keep forgetting something else like that, and they basically should just... I don't know what to say, but however, they should basically just, you know, like what you just said. Just say it for entertainment instead of having people go to their podcast. So yeah, I agree with you on that part. Anyways, guys, let's get on to his actual points.
Green Lantern's light! Lantern statements are the exact opposite reasons he attempts to refute the claims that put Tennyson in our favor. For example, he says that the Soda Bro effect is not applicable to Alien X because Ben 10,000 was only talking about Clockwork at the time, thus it shouldn't count. But then uses a feat by a Green Lantern who is not Hal Jordan to justify his own argument, saying they're similar enough for it to potentially count. What's interesting is his Green Lantern feat was only a statement, but Ben actually proved that he had access to the Soda Bro effect by absorbing a bomb that took out literally every single universe in the multiverse except for the one they were currently in. He also claims that this Ben can't prove he knows about the Soda Bro effect, because he is a Ben from an alternate timeline, which us fans refer to as No Watch Ben. But in the episode, it's actually Ben Prime himself telling No Watch Ben this statement. And if you want to argue that it's a future version of Ben and it shouldn't count, not only has the 16-year-old Ben proven countless times that he understands exactly how time travel works, but No Watch Ben didn't even need Ben Prime's explanation. Transforming into Clockwork allows you to sense the Soda Bro effect instantaneously.
Once I transformed, I could see the Soda Bro effect.
Just figured I'd suck the ripple back in.
That was a clip of Clockwork absorbing the power of a bomb that destroyed infinite timelines, by the way.
So yes, you may have a good point that Green Lantern that is weaker than Hal basically can have a time limit, but the reason why they scale him to it is because, again, this applies to other Green Lanterns. And also, here's one thing that you say about this. So you say that Clockwork can basically, you know, reverse time and absorb the time bomb, in which Alien X can basically have the Soda Bro effect. But that isn't even the case. That isn't even the case because I'll tell you why. The reason why this isn't even the case is because, again, as I am proving, Clockwork's the only alien that could basically reverse the effect of a Chronosapien time bomb. Seriously, here's how it works. Let's say you have a guy who can basically turn time to turn you to dust against a guy who has the same power, but can use that power to reverse time and reverse the effect of what happened. So, by this logic, that means he in fact can reverse the effect of the Chronosapien time bomb. Because he's a Chronosapien, can basically counter a Chronosapien time bomb.
There's also a case where they went over the fact that Batman can remove Hal's ring shouldn't count because it was an inexperienced Hal, yet used a statement from an inexperienced Ben. More specifically, the very first season of the original series, the farthest you can get from his potential. And what was said, yet again, was only a statement-only situation, where they said Vilgax tried to cut off Ben's arm, thus Hal Jordan's scissors trick should work. But Vilgax doesn't even get a chance to try to cut off Ben's arm in that episode, as he's interrupted by Grandpa Max. So, Vilgax trying to cut off Ben's arm doesn't really prove anything. Also, Hal being inexperienced with his ring is not a valid rebuttal for it being removed, because Hal can still be caught off guard and lose his ring. His ring's defenses have nothing to do with his experience. It has to do with his concentration.
Okay, yes, you may make the argument that Hal's concentration can basically throw him off guard, but however, what you didn't get the claim was this. Batman himself is a ninja. I'm not even lying. Batman is a ninja because he is actually trained by ninjas. And that is actually fact. Now, if you guys want to see my proof, he has in fact trained with Ra's al Ghul, however you want to say it. However, there's only two ways you can find this out. One, you can either go read some of those comics. I don't know which comic he basically trained in, because I read some comics, but I don't read every comic in the world. However, outside of Marvel and DC. However, if you don't want to read the comic because you think it'll take too long, then I recommend you would go watch those scenes in Batman Begins where he's training. Those training scenes in Batman Begins, you know, where he's going to train. However, that's my argument. Again, Batman himself is a ninja, and this guy can literally sneak around Superman's heartbeat. Heck, they even say it in Batman vs. Captain America.
Batman also regularly battles and sneaks around super beings far above your average laser Nazi. If he can ninja around Superman's super hearing, there's no reason he can't do the same to Captain America.
Heck, those words that they said right there is literally coming from a death battle that I actually disagree with. And yes, he can ninja around you. Not even Superman can hear him, so that goes your argument. Batman himself is a ninja, and he can sneak around you while you're not even noticing where he is.
It is not a fair argument for Liam to use anything he likes to justify Hal Jordan, while using the same logic in reverse to refute Ben Tennyson. This is another one of Death Battle's main problems as a whole, is the fact that they composite their characters, meaning there is no one defined choice of which version of either character that they use. They attempt to pull all of the general feats and weaknesses and build it into one composite character, but that alone opens up the opportunity for error. For one, if the writers do not know a character, important feats can accidentally be left out, while if you decide to choose a specific version, it gives you more of a direction to go in, and a guideline that you must strictly follow. There is also the fact that while some versions may have incredible feats, different versions have different weaknesses. Liam pulls his statements from just about every single version of Hal Jordan regardless of where he's from, and some of them are not even from Hal Jordan himself, using feats from other characters and claiming that the same could hypothetically be said for Hal. Yet, he limits Ben to his teenage self, and even uses statements from an Omnitrix he no longer possesses, and he does not allow theoretical feats to work for Ben, as he allows them to work for Hal.
Okay, so you do in fact have like a solid argument to prove that they could have done that for Hal. Now, I do agree with you. But, however, they take versions of a character as long as they do not contradict with themselves. If you don't understand what I'm saying is, they will take every version of a character as long as they do not contradict with the main focus of what the character it is. For example, they'll take every version of Ben and combine them all together from forwarded shows. They did it with Hal. Heck, they did it with every single fighter. Except for Superman, because I know what people will say, but Joe 29, they use multiple Superman and Batman. Not Batman vs. Superman, I mean, and Goku vs. Superman. Well, the reason they did that is because they stated which Superman they were using. They were using every Superman. Oh, sorry about that. But they were using every Superman from 1978. Or, what was it again? I think it was 1986 and forward. Yeah, there we go. I think it was 1986 and forward. So that's what they basically chose. So that would debunk some of that claims that people would make.
Death Battle built their Green Lantern as a pretty decent composite. But if they were to build Ben Tennyson as fairly as they built Hal Jordan, let's take Ultimate Ben 10,000, who can access all of his aliens and his ultimate aliens while still remaining in human form, and has the Master Control activated. Equipped him with the Bi-Omnitrix, which allows him to access more than one transformation's abilities at a time, and stack up his many hacks and feats. Upgrade him with the Potus Altiari, which multiplies his powers several times over. Armor him up with the Sword of Ascalon's battlesuit, which comes equipped with a reality-altering sword. Slap Skirt on top of him, which gives him even more alien combinations to use. And just for good measure, let's let him wear his Ultra Ben visor. This may seem ridiculous, but all I did was composite together Ben's feats from different versions and pretend like they all just work together. I hope this puts in perspective how incorrect it is to use what I will now call Death Battle's Hal Jordan, as he is just an amalgam of random feats from various Green Lanterns across the ages, which is not a fair advantage. Like, for example, you either get the Hal Jordan that can time travel but has a weakness to yellow, or you get the Hal Jordan that no longer has a weakness to yellow, but has not demonstrated any time travel feats, which either should or shouldn't count depending on if you're a Green Lantern fan or not. You cannot have both, or else Hal is fighting this Ben. Because as ridiculous as it may seem, based upon how they built their Hal Jordan, this is fair. And I surmise it only seems ridiculous because it's Ben Tennyson we're compositing, not Green Lantern. Now who's buying?
And yes, okay, we'll play fair then, alright. So, I actually liked how you played fair with basically using composite versions, but however, here's one thing I want to say that kind of contradicts yourself when you gave him that many equipment. He never had those equipment to begin with. The Ultimate Ben Visor, not the Ultimate Ben Visor, but the Ultimate Ben 10,000 is a future that's basically not of the future we see in Omniverse. And the Bi-Matrix is way different from what another Ben 10,000, in which we don't know which Ben 10,000 to go with because we can't combine all three because all three of them have different powers. And the reality sword thingy, whatever it is, and then the Ultiari, whatever that thing that was in the game, he had that, but he lost it after he fought Albedo with who transformed into a Takustar, which is way big species, and that's about what I had to say. If you don't understand what I'm trying to say is the fact that Ben no longer does not even have these equipment normally, and he no longer has access to those equipment anymore. It would be like asking Vegeta to activate Super Saiyan Beyond Blue Evolution after he uses that suicidal attack that made him kill Boo in the Boo Saga from Dragon Ball. Or it would be like asking Ichigo to activate his Soul Reaper powers after the first time he uses the Megetsu. He no longer has access to that power anymore. Do you understand what I'm saying here? Also, when they composite their characters, they basically take a look at the characters and basically be like, oh, this looks like it could be canon, it looks like they can do it. Or like, they do something ridiculous like, oh, they can't do that. They basically can't do it. Also, here's one thing. Here's this clip from their Jotaro vs. Kenshiro podcast. And it will also prove my point about them using composite versions of a character.
The main thing is that, not using a power. The main thing is that, at least from what I understand from you and Noel's discussions, this other story is like a parallel universe kind of story. Yeah, it is. Which is, it does technically use the same Jotaro, but it's like as the story continues, this Jotaro becomes a different Jotaro with different powers and different abilities, and it's a different storyline. So it becomes, we've often talked about how we use, why am I blanking on the term of, amalgamation? Yeah, essentially. We use composite. Yeah. We use composite characters to a certain extent. We don't like bringing in feats from characters from, other sources where they're clearly supposed to be a different character. So, if we go back to Goku or something like that. Actually, we've got Yamcha in the community death battle later. Let's use Yamcha. This is a perfect example. Yamcha in the normal story of Dragon Ball he's not a failure, but he kind of is, right? He's not the strongest guy at all in the team. There is an alternate story where he's possessed by somebody, and that somebody makes him the strongest person ever. Mm-hmm. We would not use that Yamcha, if we were using Yamcha in a death battle, we would not use that Yamcha, that other Yamcha who's the strongest ever, because that's clearly a different Yamcha. He's got a very different story, very different powers. He's got another mind in his head. There's all sorts of things going on. That is a different iteration of the character. But if there's but we wouldn't necessarily make the difference between the anime Yamcha and the manga Yamcha, because they're still going along the same lines of the story. They have similar feats, similar abilities, etc. Jotaro in this other storyline clearly is a different Jotaro.
Yeah, and if he did have the reality warping abilities, why wouldn't he use them in all the
a whole bunch of times?
Exactly. Well, all the future
it just proves that it's
in the anime,
thing.
Why would he die?
Yeah. And
I mean, die in the anime.
If you really want to include reality overwrite, then of course he's gonna win.
Alright, so that in fact proves my point that they didn't use that version of another character as long as they're different. Now, I know what you like to argue with me, but Hal's basically different in post-crisis and pre-crisis. No, he is literally the same character because in post-crisis he actually remembers what happens. And he also remembers what is going on there, here and there, and he also remembers this one thing. He remembers Barry Allen's death. If you guys know Barry Allen, you already know he's the Flash. And that Barry Allen's death basically is what triggered his memory, and he remembers everything what happens in pre-crisis. And yes. So that debunks the claim that Hal is still the same Hal in pre-crisis and post-crisis, while Ben from other timelines are not the same Ben you see in the main timeline.
Also, I'm randomly adding this to my script as I record this, but I just thought of another theory. So, Alien X can duplicate himself, and each one of them can work independently, and every single one of them can time travel. So, Alien X can duplicate himself and spread all of his beings across the timeline from the very beginning to the very end. And since it is confirmed that there are not multiple different Alien X's, meaning each Alien X is still the one and only Ben Tennyson and not some type of clone or alternate counterpart, this means that Ben can exist at every single point in time simultaneously with one united consciousness. There is no more going back or forward in time for Hal, because now Alien X exists simultaneously at every point in time.
Sure, I know, I would be sure that you would say that, but however, Hal has better feats on his own. Heck, he one-shot Amazo, who literally had the power of the full Justice League. Also, not to mention this, the ring can literally stop time for Hal, so that Hal is literally still, in fact, going to still slow down time in nanoseconds. So Alien X is not going to stop Hal from basically killing him. And if that's not hard enough, heck, he beats Superman in terms of strength. Not to mention the fact that when he basically took on Superman, who literally took on the hit from the Big Bang itself, in which this is basically pre-crisis or post-crisis, whatever, which one this is, he still can slow down time, as I forgot, because wrong panel, because the wrong panel was that when he knocked off Black Lantern Spectre. So here he is, basically stopping time, so he's not going to be able to, Alien X is not going to be able to stop him. Or heck, you'll just kill Alien X right now where he is right now. Because, again, I forgot to bring this up, he hurt Captain Atom, even though Captain Atom didn't know about his universal powers until 245, you can make that argument. But, however, here's another impressive feat. He sealed Parallax away, in which I can't find where it is. However, here's his most impressive feat. He killed him. Thank you, someone who basically commented down below and researched it. He actually did it for real. He killed Mandrake. Now, thanks to my person I just trusted, Variant Comics. Here, he'll explain this.
Still in it. But to wrap this thing up, I'm going to mention one last thing that demonstrates just how powerful Hal Jordan is. And that is the time he spiked and killed Mandrake. Why is this impressive, you ask? Because Mandrake is a threat to the multiverse. Now, he did have help from other Green Lanterns, but he was definitely leading the attack and said, "Give me one last effort, team, all together, and spike this vampire."
So yeah, this proves my point. Him killing Mandrake means he can kill Alien X. That means, if you don't understand, that means he can damage people such as Celestial Sapiens. That means he can hurt Alien X. And yes, basically that's what I'm going to say right now. So let's continue. More of the video. Also, not to mention, I recommend you go check out Variant Comics. He's actually very good. I'll leave a link to that video I just played.
And I'd argue that most people in their position would too. So I don't blame them. I say this because I feel that even if I present enough evidence to debunk their argument completely, they still would not change their mind. I did not make this trio of videos to inflict a wave of hatred on Death Battle, nor do I think they'll directly acknowledge these videos exist. I made these videos for the fans of my content that wanted me to talk about one of the biggest things to happen to the Ben 10 fandom in a long time. Because, as I've said before, I never wanted to make one of these hype train videos. I like each video on this channel to be a nicely packaged project, so something like this is a bit out of line for me. And I've also been trying to make it clear that I'm attempting to transition away from the spotlight. Being a YouTuber is a lifestyle, and at some point you have to ask yourself if you really want to commit your life to your channel. And the answer for me is no. This isn't who I am. I want my work to be famous, not myself. And I believe that if my content both with videos and comics, are really good enough to at least get me this far, then I shouldn't have to turn myself into a social media icon just to get you guys to engage in the product. I should trust that the product can do well on its own, without my face and name having to be the selling point. I do not want to just abandon this channel, which is why I want to continue this slow transition away from YouTube, rather than just abruptly leaving. Yet this past month's stream of videos put me in a very specific spotlight, and I hope you all understand that the joking and sarcastic guys is purely for entertainment, and Kuro the artist is as much of a character for me as Wiz and Boomstick are for Ben and Chad. I personally do not care for debating videos, because they just provide a platform for people to continue to be hostile towards each other in the name of their favorite characters. And while I do not support legitimate arguments, I also don't believe not saying anything in the first place is a solution either. Not voicing your opinion in fear of people misinterpreting you means that you'll never be heard. You need to trust that your message will be perceived clearly for those that listen with open ears. I even had one person try to claim I insulted Death Battle by calling them a bitch in one of their live streams, which is kind of laughable if you really know me. And I almost didn't include it in this video just because I don't like to draw attention to these sort of things and I just ignore them. But it's a perfect example of someone misinterpreting someone's statements and fabricating something that was not said. I applaud Liam for his efforts, spending a whole hour responding to more or less me directly. But alas, not just debating, but this whole YouTube scene is just not for me, and I have videos currently live on this channel to explain why. Now that this whole shindig is over, I'm just gonna go back to editing the videos that Hershey and Ryan make for this channel, and working on my crossover comic series 5 years later, and my artistic mini-series, Pen to Paper. But anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. You can stay up to date with everything on my social medias and get exclusive weekly updates on 5 years later over on Patreon for just $1. You can also join the Discord to talk to other passionate fans and help keep the Ben 10 community alive.
Alright, very, 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 very inspirational, Kuro. I basically take notes from that. So here's what I'm going to say. Now look, this second video didn't have as much problems as the first video. But first, let's go over part 1, your problems. In part 1, you try to claim that the failsafe can basically save Ben. However, it wasn't able to, save Ben when he died from the Chrono Sapien time bomb. Apparently, another argument you still try to use is that the Omnitrix has better abilities than the Green Lantern Ring, which you kind of underestimate the Green Lantern Ring, which is actually one of the most powerful, as heck, Superman stated it. And heck, it is one of the most powerful things in DC Comics. And also, you try to keep on claiming more feats for Ben, which I feel like I have more feats for Hal Jordan because he has better experience. So, how would I break this down? And then in part 2, you do have a good point. Some good points. Especially at the end of the video, you did a very good job explaining something very good. However, other points, sometimes you kinda mess up. And then there's sometimes I will agree with you, and some of the times I disagree with you. So, basically, that's all I have to say. Also, here's something I want to say, guys. This is going to be part 2. Part 3 is going to be my final conclusion. So, these are going to be my final conclusion for part 2. 1, 2 is, 1, you had some problems where you're trying to claim that the Omnitrix failsafe can basically save Ben. Or, you do kind of underestimate Hal Jordan when he has better abilities and Ben can't. Or sometimes when you make the claims that oh, but Ben has this ability when he only done that once, in which he almost got himself killed that time. However, those are the only arguments I can think of in my head. And also, that's it. So, apparently, that's all I have to say right here. I'm not saying I hate Kuro, or I hate Ben 10. I love Ben 10 more than Green Lantern. Don't get me wrong, I love both Ben 10 and Green Lantern. I don't hate both of them. However, and I don't hate Death Battle, because I still love Death Battle. Since I started watching them since Mario vs. Sonic 2011. So, however, that's what I have to say right here. So apparently, now I can stop talking. So let me know in the comments down below. Do you agree or disagree with me? So it's Jose and Shiba. I'll see you guys next time. Later, and see you in part 3.
Watch me come alive and burn so fast you better shield your eyes. You come as no surprise when I end your life. I'm done holding back. This is my full-on attack. Pour it out back to black. Choked out, there's no hope now. I'm 2 steps ahead and you're 6 feet down. You thought it'd go the other way, but no, just keep on screaming out from under that epitaph you wrote. Your last mistake's been made. That's your early grave. Never gonna get away. It's time to face consequences you can't escape. Watch me come on. And burn so fast you better shield your eyes. It should come as no surprise when I end your life. I'm done holding back. This is my full-on attack. Before it all cuts to black. I'm never giving in every single moment that I've been living in ecstasy. Leaving me euphoric next to the corpse that remains of the choice that you made when you made that mistake. And I made your bones break like it wasn't a thing, cause it wasn't. So bring on the pain if you think that you can, cause I'm fucking insane and I'll leave you decaying and slain like a brother of king. Yeah, it's really a shame that you stepped in this ring, cause you'll never step to me again. Take a moment, breathe. Unending and bending to nobody, I am an ultimate hero. You're not even near, I'll reduce you to 0 in case I'm not clear enough.
There's only one God here.
Come alive.